Hey guys, happy Sunday. Have you ever lost anything? It can be really frustrating when you put something somewhere, especially somewhere it belongs, and then you can't remember where that was. Jesus tells 3 parables about losing things, and we find all of them in Luke chapter 15. The first 2 parables he tells are about a lost sheep and a lost coin. In the parable with the sheep, a shepherd is counting his sheep and he has 100 sheep. But when he counts, there's only 99 there. So he leaves his sheep in the pen and he goes and finds the lost one. In the next parable, a woman is cleaning her house and realizes she's missing a coin, a very valuable coin. And so she goes through everything. She moves the furniture, she checks the garbage pail, she looks under the couch, she looks in the cushions, she checks her drawers, she checks all over the house until she finds it. And then she's very excited when she finds it. We know that when we find something we've lost, it's exciting. We're extremely happy to find that thing. And those parables tell us about how God gets excited when we find Him or He finds us, so to speak, and we learn to love Him. Now, there's one more parable in there that's a little bit different, but I think it's extra important because it's the parable of the prodigal son. Now, in the first 2 parables, and most of the time when we're looking for things that we've lost that we want, or we're happy to have. And so, we're excited when we find them. In the parable of the prodigal son, Jesus tells a story about a son that, quite frankly, most of his audience would not have been excited to find. They would have been happier if the son were punished for what he did. Now, I'm not going to read the whole parable this week, but I'll give you the short version. A son, the younger of 2 sons, is wanting to go out on his own. He's wanting to start his own life. But he can't do that because he doesn't have any money. So he goes to his dad and says, "Can I have my inheritance now?" Now, the inheritance is something he's supposed to get when his dad dies. So basically what he's saying is, "Hey Dad, let's pretend you're dead. I'll take the money that's coming to me when you die, and then I'll go off and we'll just pretend that you're dead and I'm gone." So the father, though he's very hurt by this, agrees, gives him his share of the inheritance and sends him on his way. And of course he does what any young man would do and spends his money unsensibly, unwisely. He blows his money on parties and living up a lavish life with no way of making any money. Doesn't think about starting a business, doesn't think about getting a job, doesn't think about investing his father's money. He just spends it all on whatever he wants until it's all gone. Then when it's all gone and he's ready to start having to make money, there's a famine in the land and there's no jobs. So he can't even make any more money. Now all of his friends who hung out with him when he was rich, they're all gone because he's not rich anymore. And so he has to find a job that doesn't pay very well and is actually kind of shameful. He's feeding pigs. Now, what's so bad about feeding pigs? For starters, this boy is a Hebrew boy. And Hebrews aren't allowed to touch, eat, or be around pigs because they are considered unclean under the law of Moses. And so he is automatically, all the time, unclean. He can't go to church, he can't go to synagogue, he can't be around people who go to synagogue. So now he's pushed away from all of his friends, all of his community. He can't even go around the religious leaders. And so he's all on his own. The other thing, there's a famine going on. So this job doesn't pay very much. And he can't even afford food, so he has to share his food with the pigs, or share the pigs' food with himself. So he's eating the leftovers that other people are throwing out. He finally wises up and says, you know what? It would be better to go and work for my dad. Pretend I'm not his son, but just go work for him like his servants. They are better off than I am. So he packs his things and he goes back. Now, everyone in Jesus' audience would have expected the father to respond harshly and probably not even hire him as a servant. But Jesus tells a little different version of this story. Here's the reaction the father had when he saw the boy coming. But his father said to the servants, "Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet, and kill the calf we have been fattening. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found." You see how excited the father was? You see how he was glad to have his son back. In fact, he said, my son who is dead is back to life. His father was glad to have back this son, even though he had done all these things that offended him. Now, when we talk about our four most important things, we know that God loves us and that we have sinned and that sin separates us from God. And so we are pushed away, or we push God away. We are unclean. We can't come close to God because of our sin. And in fact, for most of the wrong things we do, God shouldn't even want us to be close to him. But he does, just like the father in this parable. He wants his son to be close, even though he did things that were very hurtful and very wrong. See, God doesn't just want us because we're good. He doesn't just want us because we do what we're supposed to. He wants us to do what we're supposed to because it's good for us and it's glorifying to him. But even when we don't do what we're supposed to, God still wants us. And he still wants to be close to us. And so, I encourage you, never be ashamed or afraid to go to God, because he's always happy to see you. And on the flip side, for us, don't look at people and say, oh, they're not good enough to hear about Jesus. They're not good enough to know about God. Because God thinks they are. And he is excited when they come to him, even though nobody else would want them. Thanks for watching, guys. Tune in next week. We're going to have some announcements of what's going to be going on with the kids' programs this summer. And so we want to make sure you stay up to date on that. And we will see you then. We love you and have a great week.